Welcome to the Infomullet YouTube channel. If you enjoy this content, please like or share. And if you'd like to support the Infomullet by becoming a mulleteer, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate your support. Question 5. Again, this is what people were interested in at December 2019. If he is reelected with the GOP House, will President Trump do a better job than he did before with complete control? What this is looking to is the first congressional session that Trump was president. The Republicans had the House, the Senate, and the president. And it's probably one of the least effective sessions where you had one party control everything. They could barely get anything done. They nominated a Supreme Court nominee that McConnell had to kill the filibuster to get through. They tried and failed repeatedly to repeal the Health Care Act. McCain went against that at first. Was some of the deciding votes, I think, with Murkowski and some others. They just weren't able to get much done. They struggled. This was even before the wall. The wall wasn't even being. I mean, they had tried, but there was no forward movement of the wall on this session. And this session is 2017 through 2018. So my forecast is, if he's reelected, will they do a better job? If he gets the House and the Senate, would they be better? I said no. First of all, I didn't, even assuming he wins the House, which he won't, I had predicted in that last forecast, he won't take the House. Competence matters. So what you need to understand with the federal government, this is important for like these federal shutdowns, is there's about 4,000, and this, think about for Biden's transition. This is a little bit over historical now, but think about this in terms of Biden's transition. To run the federal government, there are 4,000 presidential appointees managing about 2 million federal civilian and military personnel, not counting contractors. That is a giant amount of people you have to manage. 4,000 people just in senior leadership positions. So think of this as this 4,000 is a stock that has a constant inflow you have to bring in and an outflow of people leaving by resignation, tweet firing, jail sentencing, pardon to avoid jail sentencing, on trial prior to being sentenced in jail. Well, the outflow is all the reasons people are no longer in those jobs. So you have this churn, and you have to keep 4,000 people in place to manage the government effectively and have all the pieces work well, along with your Senate liaisons, your House liaison, your congressional. These agencies do a lot of work of making Congress buy into the president's thing. Now, normally the Republican and Democratic Party, they have an inflow, constant inflow that comes from existing universities, think tanks, campaigns. Each party at this point has a well-built infrastructure where they can basically bring in people. So you're seeing with Biden's transition right off the bat, there's going to be a difference because Biden can tap into the existing Democratic infrastructure to bring in these 4,000 appointees he's got. And these aren't just secret cabinetaries. These go down to assistant secretary, undersecretary. Basically, the way it works is the president gets slots. 4,000 slots or so, and they can put these slots wherever they want. So they may want, if they really want to be focused on Department of Defense, they'll put a lot of slots in Department of Defense. They may put less in HUD or Bureau of Economic Affairs. If they want a lot in, say, Treasury, they'll overstaff in Treasury. So you can allocate these slots, but you have to fill them. And both institutional parties have huge pipelines where talent comes in, people move through career. Obviously, if you were on the campaign or a supporter, that helps you out on the higher level positions. But even at the lower levels in these presidential appointees, there's a pipeline. Trump didn't have this pipeline. He was a populist, so he's not really tapping into the existing Republican infrastructure that, let's say, Bush the third, or Cruz the first, or Rubio the hopeful won the presidency rather than Trump, right? They would be, as mainstream candidates, they would be able to tap into the Republican infrastructure very quickly and easily. Trump didn't have that. So he largely was grasping at straws to fill his cabinet. Now, he had some very high-level picks in his first term, you have the Secretary of Defense Mattis, some good names there. But for the most part, he's picking from his campaign, and he's often getting very underskilled people. While he was in office, his personality and leadership style made it toxic to want to work in that. No one wants to everyone looked at Tillerson. Here's the executive of Exxon, CEO of Exxon, leaves the job at CEO of Exxon to go be Trump's whipping boy in Department of State. And just no one's going to want to do that. People can see the writing on the wall. If you're going to get fired from tweet, you're not going to want to do it. So his pipeline gradually dried up. And to the point where at the end of this term, we had a lot of vacancies that had not been filled. And if where they were filled, we were seeing some cases where high-level civilian presidential appointees were people right out of college, 26 years old, very little experience. And I'm not saying that if you're young, that means you're not qualified for this. But if you're managing 1,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 person federal agency, that's not an easy job. And so I think when Trump was always facing, first, I didn't think he was going to take the House. Second, turns out he didn't win. But he was always going to face a challenge in maintaining this administration. This is key to think of Biden coming in now. How does he put in that pipeline? How does he take advantage of bringing in old guard institutionalists, mixing it with more progressive? And this is the tension that's right now you can see going on in the Democratic Party. How is Biden staffing his administration? Where is he pulling that talent from? What think tanks, what campaigns, what action groups? All of these things matter in the administration because it really gets down to the nuts and bolts of how the government will function in supporting the president. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to follow the Infomullet, visit us on Facebook or Twitter. And if you'd like notifications when we post new video content, click on the red subscribe button below the video. If you've ever wanted to become a mulleteer and support the Infomullet, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate the support.